So my name is Claudine Moore. I'm the founder of Seymour Media International Public Relations. We're a public relations firm based out of New York City. We have offices and strategic partners in the UK, right here in Lagos, in South Africa, and in the Caribbean. Originally, we launched in 2003, and then I sort of put the company on hold for a while, went back to corporate, worked with a number of very large advertising and PR agencies. The last PR agency that I worked with before my own was the global PR agency Hill & Knowlton, where I was the director of the whole of the US for the company. And then in 2009 I left that agency, relaunched Seymour Media, and we've been in operation now for the last four years. So we work in the multicultural and general markets in the US and in the UK, but we also have a growing, fast-growing African division through which we work with African organizations that are based here in Lagos, here in Nigeria, and in other African countries, as well as African organizations and initiatives in the US and UK. Before PR, what was going on in my life? Well, interestingly, my formal training, in terms of where I went to school and went to university, I actually am a trained psychotherapist. I went to Durham University in the UK and I trained to be a therapist. So when I originally moved from the UK to the US, which is where I've lived now for the last 13 years, I was going to be a therapist. And then while I was looking for my first, job in the US, getting my first posting as a therapist, I was just temping at a random office, and they just put me in the PR department. And I was meant to be there for 3 weeks, was there for 6 months, and I really enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed working in the PR agency, and I thought to myself, you know what, I don't want to do therapy, I want to go into public relations. So I spoke to the head of the PR department at the time, and I told her that, I'd love to work in the PR industry, and she said to me, you couldn't do it. She said, no, Claudine, choose something else, you're not going to be good at it, you couldn't do it. And that was 10 years ago, and here I am today. Well, there's no typical day I'd like to have typical days, because then I could plan things better or easier, but there's really no typical day. I mean, what I can say is typically I start my day at 7:30 in the morning. By 7:30 I'm in my office and I'm working. I find that's the best time of day to start. Any day, like I said, it's not typical, but it can range from having new business meetings, doing a press conference, reaching out, working with reporters, working with journalists, strategizing with my team and working with the client meetings. I'm here at Social Media Week, Lagos, for the week, and this isn't typical, but it's not, me traveling to Nigeria has become rather typical. So me coming back and forth here is like something that's quite typical, I suppose. First of all, all praises to God and to Jesus. The blessings come down to me, but the glory always goes to God first and foremost. And then after that, I definitely would say my parents. My mother's from Jamaica, and my father's from Barbados. So but when I was a child, they always said to myself and my two sisters that forget what anybody tells you about being British or about being West Indian or about being any of those things. You're black, you're African, and that's it. So from a very, very young age, my parents sort of instilled sort of a pride in being, ancestors of Africa, and pride in our Africanness. And so that stuck with all three of us. And also they really instilled the value of education and the importance of character. So those are sort of things I sort of hold dear to me now. And as I've sort of been able to sort of tailor my career and tailor my business, I've kind of merged my sort of, my passion and love for the continent of Africa and my African heritage with my business, and a sense of purpose I feel that my business can bring to business here in Nigeria and beyond. Yeah, that's always a good question, and it's not just one thing. I think, It's an interesting question because I really wish I had one phrase to say it's X or it's Y, but what it really is that my parents really are a source of motivation. They always encouraged myself and my sisters to work really, really hard and to be the best at anything we could do. My mother and father used to always say, if you're a road sweeper, be the best road sweeper. If you're a driver, be the best driver. If you're going to be the Prime Minister, be the best Prime Minister. So the desire to always do what I do and do it well is a thread through everything that I do. So I take a lot of pride in the work that I do. And I also, I'm really passionate about the work that I do, especially now that I've shifted from working in general market to really working more and more in the African markets, which I've been doing for the last few years. I just love what I do, and I think what I would say to anybody, to be good at what you do and to be really motivated at what you do consistently, you have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, it's going to be very, very hard to stay motivated, because there are nights when I'm up pulling all-nighters, you know, having to go to bed at like 4 or 5 in the morning because I've been working all night doing a business pitch or doing some client work, but having to wake up at 8. Like these, not always having weekends available to do stuff because you're so busy with work. But if you love what you do, it's not even a chore. I think when I started, I had the misconception, which is what a lot of people have, the misconception that PR is all about parties and hanging out and going to events and just going to launches and stuff like that, and events, and I think when I first started I thought that was a lot of what PR is, and it's probably, especially in the kind of PR that I do, that's probably like 15% of what it is I do. So it's a lot more strategy than I thought it was in the very, very beginning. It's a lot more planning. It's a lot more. There's a lot more planning involved, and there's a lot more intellectualism that goes into PR than most people really think. Most people think that it's very fluffy, but to do PR and to do it well, you have to be intellectual and you have to be strategic. Okay, so let's start with the business first. So yeah, we do use social media for our business. We use Twitter, we use Pinterest, we've just started using Instagram, we use Facebook. So those are what we use on the business level, and we encourage all of our clients to integrate social media into their communications. What we do for our clients, we do traditional PR, but we also do social media for our clients. So we will definitely make sure that we help our clients be consistent with their brand message and their brand story across all the disciplines. We encourage certain clients to use a platform like Pinterest because that's a great way to get out their thought leadership. That's a great way to send out information. Sorry, not makeup. Whether you're a brand such as a makeup brand, for example, or a beauty brand, or a brand that's very visual, I think Instagram's great for that. So I use it for my business. I encourage clients to do that. But then also on a personal level, I use Facebook, but I keep Facebook only for my friends and some acquaintances. I don't have business contacts on Facebook, and I think people have to be very, very careful about how they use something like Facebook and who they let have access to it. So I'm very careful with Facebook. I'm not one of those people who accepts everybody. I get requests all the time for Facebook, which half of them I ignore, because I really do think Facebook for me on a personal level is a way that I share what I'm doing with my family and my friends. And if I've gone on vacation, I'll do holiday pictures. I don't need some stranger that I met one day like 10 years ago to see my holiday pictures. So I use LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a brilliant tool for any professional. I think anybody who's serious about business, you should be on LinkedIn and you should have at least 500 contacts or more. And that is something that somebody told me. They said to use LinkedIn effectively, you've got to have 500 contacts or more. So I'm very meticulous about using LinkedIn and connecting that way. So Facebook really is used for my personal life, and I use LinkedIn for my personal / business life. I use Twitter a lot, so that's how I connect with people personally as well. I'm more sort of open to connecting with people over Twitter that I don't necessarily know if they are saying things of interest and things that they're saying are interesting or important. So Twitter actually has really helped me in a huge way connect with a lot of contacts that I have here in Africa, especially in Nigeria. You know, Nigeria, you know, has the biggest population in Africa, so there's a lot of opportunities here. I would say that in the UK and in the States, I would say about 80% of my friends are Nigerians, so I'm always constantly around Nigerians. So it's you know, it's an environment that I've wanted to come and visit Nigeria for the longest time, but for whatever reason, it happened in, you know, the last 3 years. You know, I really enjoy coming here. Like, I think in the last year, I've visited Nigeria like 7 times. Yeah, so you know, I like coming to Nigeria. I like Lagos, and you know, I also sort of, I think it's such a shame to me that the country has, you know, when you mention Nigeria to certain people outside of Nigeria, they have such misconceptions about the place. There's such misconceptions about Nigeria, about Nigerians, about Lagos, about all these things, and I think it's a combination of certain organizations and government bodies here not taking the marketing of the country seriously, and I think it's organizations here not marketing what's going, you know, their organization seriously, because there's, I mean, I wouldn't come back here so often if it was a you know, a terrible place. It's a great place. People, you know, I've met some fantastic people, and there's business here, of course, and there's business here. So one of the biggest clients that we have here, or the well-known clients that we have here, we do work with Arik Air. We're the PR agency of record for Arik Air in the US. So we don't work with Arik Air in Nigeria, but we work with them in the US. So we do all their media outreach and strategy and branding and that sort of thing. And we also work with a lifestyle brand, which is House of Tara. So we do the international PR and some national PR for House of Tara. We also work with a couple of government organisations here too, which I can't mention what they are, but we do work with some government organisations. And we have, we're just actually signing another contract with another organisation, which is in the travel and hospitality industry here in Lagos. Okay, let's start with the Caribbean and Africa. Right, and I haven't visited all 54 countries in Africa, so I can just say the countries that I've been to in Africa. Okay, time. In the Caribbean, they're on a different time frame. You know, 1 o'clock could mean 3. You know, I find here the timing can be a little, you know, the sense of urgency isn't the same. So I think the Caribbean and Africa, they kind of like, when it comes to sort of timing of things, they're on the same sort of level. I hate to say it, it's true. We joke and we call it soon come time, but it's everything's like soon come time. I think, whereas in the US, it's a lot quicker. You email somebody at 1 o'clock, better believe they're probably getting back to you at 1:05. So the pace is a lot faster, and there's pros and cons to being fast and pros and cons to being slow. If you're fast, how much thought is going into what you're doing? If you're slow, one would like to hope that maybe it's because there's more thought going into what's being done. So neither is better than the other. I'm just saying they're just different. Between somewhere like, there's a lot of similarities between New York and Lagos. I find both cities are very, very vibrant, and as a result of being a vibrant cities with lots of opportunities, you get a lot of people here who are serious business people who are very talented, and they're go-getters and they're hungry for success. So you know, I find that you can meet people here who are really enthusiastic about doing work, and are very smart as well. So the energy of New York and Lagos, to me, are the same. And as I live in New York, that's maybe why I like coming to Lagos. It's like an African, like New York City. Yeah. I plan, you know, to shift more and more of our business focus to being dedicated to our interest in Africa. So for right now, we have an African division. My longer term plan would be that we are focused. That's our core business. It ends up being our core main business. That's the plan. I definitely plan to have permanent offices in specific countries in in Africa. I also, the other 5 years, I also plan to expand what, our offering to also include more media services. So right now it's PR, that's what we kind of focus on, but we also want to have a media division through which we start producing content, because we're really big on stories and storytelling. So we're going to expand what we do to really sort of include creating content and having hubs where people can sort of come to sort of, and not just tell their stories in a very, unstrategic way, but really tell not just stories but relevant stories, but these are business stories as well. Yeah, I think that's key, because there are so many misconceptions about the continent, and I think it's really primarily due to organizations and business people here not leveraging tools like PR, branding, marketing, social media, not leveraging them enough to be able to tell the world who they are. And it's changing, and as you begin to tell people more and more about who you are and they get to know who you are, the more opportunities are going to open up. So even me taking part in Social Media Week and doing this video, for example, is giving me a chance to talk about what it is I do. And people will see, okay, what is it that she does? And then they'll see, how can she help us do what we want to do? And so even something like this is something that, all businesses should do, on a business level, on a country level, creating content. It's been a beautiful journey. And continues to be a beautiful journey. In one word, you said, okay, one word. It's been great. It's been great, and it continues to be great. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Many thanks to Obi, Asika, and Ngozi Adita, who put this whole Social Media Week together. I think, I'd love to say that, I think, their vision, dedication, and love for Nigeria and Africa's progress as a whole is fantastic, and for them to put this whole week together, I think it's to be applauded. I'm very proud of them, and I'm very proud to be on the advisory board of Social Media Week Lagos, and I'm happy to talk to you today. Thank you.